Yellow. There I am. And there's Mike. Nice. Oops, or both. We were both still deafened. Oh yeah, you're not going to be able to hear me right now. Either way, you're also deafened. You can't hear me though. You need to unmute, deafen, mute. Hit the button. Hit the button. You need to hit the button. Hit the button. There we go. I did the same thing too.
My bad. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, just making sure. I just connected my earbuds in this time, so.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check your volume then. I mean,
Hello, everyone, New York. Yeah.
I've got you cranked up all the way anyway.
I'm also drinking some whiskey.
Nice. Nothing says Disney like whiskey. I mean, I was talking about. I guess you could drink in the Disney parks now, so like that's not really.
Right.
There used to be this place called Pleasure Island in Disney World, and I guess I didn't realize it was gone now, but it was like supposed to be an adults area of Disney World, and I think I was there when I was a kid though, which is weird, but it was a little. I remember thinking things seemed a little risque there actually.
Disney risque. There you go. It's all the princesses showing their ankles to you.
Well, you know, it's Disney toes that line sometimes. When
They do.
like when the artists write sex in the middle of the Lion King or whatever,
Oh yeah.
or the Aladdin thing, or I don't know.
I'm sure it was all just a coincidence, right?
Yeah. Who
But
really
didn't they
knows?
say it was for just? It's more for like the parents, like an Easter egg for parents. Or was I wrong
Yeah,
about
maybe. I mean, it's like Nickelodeon stuff, and
Oh, I love Nickelodeon stuff.
yeah, or even Pixar for that matter. They tend to gear some of it, or at least gear it toward adults, or at least like put stuff in there that only adults would understand, which is fun.
It's true.
Okay.
It's great.
Well, I suppose it's after 8. I suppose we could start the show. What do you think? Should we start the show? Get a little more coffee.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink a little more coffee quick. I want to make sure I am good to go. Showtime! What is that expression? Okay, here we go. Yeah. Another Disney movie. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to Disnerds Plus, the show where we talk about your favorite nerdy shows on Disney Plus. This is episode 4 of Moon Knight, episode 4 of Disnerds Plus, and episode 4 of Moon Knight: The Tomb. I had to look this one up. I forgot to jot it down earlier. For Wednesday, April 20th, 2022, I'm Shane.
Hey, it's Mike.
Hey, Mike, what's happening?
Not much.
No? Excited to talk about...
Broke my back.
Ah, well, that's no good. Straight up
That's why
bro.
I'm drinking whiskey.
Yeah, that would do it for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's great. It'll be a great night.
Sorry to hear that, man. Well, we got an exciting and an interesting episode of Moon Knight to talk about today. But before we do that, of course, we must talk about previously on Moon Knight. Oh, just repeated it. So just a quick recap. As per the usual, we had Layla joining. I'm trying to remember. I can't even keep track anymore. Who is it? Mark, I guess. Mark in Egypt, meeting up with him as
Yep.
Harrow was pursuing the tomb of Amit. And then we had other things that happened in that episode as well. We noticed Mark was experiencing similar blackout types of things that Stephen was earlier. We
Third
had
conscience. Third conscience that we haven't
third
met yet.
a third conscience. Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
we had we had been introduced to the gods in the
The
secret
God.
in the secret pyramid. Oh, what was it? The Great Pyramid, I guess it was supposed to be.
Yeah, that was just the Great Pyramid of Giza. Just
And
inside part of it.
one of which ended up revealing to Mark that there was a secret location that Ahmed was placed. It was Ahmed, right? That was put in a secret location because I guess that's
Mm-hmm.
that's who they're after here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then after Layla showed up, they traveled to an area with some interesting horse sport going on. Still don't know what that is, but
It
they
might be something in the Egyptian way, maybe. I don't know.
right, and they had to fight some dudes there to when they found the tomb. They were sort of friendly with this guy, and then turned out to not be so friendly after trying to recover some of this cloth with inscriptions on them or what have you. And
Star map. It was a star map.
star map, but not the star
Basically,
maps you
is
get
what
in
it was.
LA. It's star like map of
Like,
actual stars, yeah. And
like the cosmos.
right. So then they wound up in a desert. Um, to help decipher them, had to bring Steven back to do that. Khonshu ended up needing to literally turn the stars back to be able to look at the exact spot they needed to be. And henceforth, we have yet to see Khonshu again because he was obliterated. Not really. He was basically transformed into his
He's in. He's entombed.
entombed. So the thing, and we'll talk about it in this episode, but the thing that my understanding is that is the what's the term? It's down here somewhere. The what is it called? The the thing. What's the word they were
The,
using later?
the thing.
Yeah, the thing. We'll
Oh,
get there.
the
Ushapti. Is that what it
Ushap.
is?
Yeah, Ushapti. It's like basically their statue form in miniatures.
Right.
Kind of like a Funko Pop, I guess. But
Funko
just
Pop of the time. Nice.
just in stone.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers.
Cheers. So at the beginning of now episode 4, onward to the latest episode here. Oh hey Corey, what's going on? The latest episode, we start off in that pyramid, with an upside down one of them one of the avatars
Which one?
approaching.
Come on.
Oh well, I know we just heard about New Rock. That's New Rock Stars, right? We were just I got a little more. Is that who?
Well, I even knew it too. I knew who he was. I mean, they said it last episode.
Okay, so go ahead. What is his
It was this.
name?
He was Osiris.
Yes, I do recall that now. That, but only from I didn't pick up on it necessarily in the show itself. I think I only picked it up from that is right. New Rockstars. That's who that channel is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
New
yeah,
Rock
yeah.
Stars.
Yeah, I
They're
do
they're
recall
a
him
good
saying
good channel.
right on. So there's a silhouette of him approaching with the. I'm always gonna forget it. What is it? With the figurine.
Ushanti.
Right. And he's in a suit. I didn't notice that they're all dressed. Are they all dressed up? Are they all wearing?
Well, they're just. I mean, they're humans. Like when they're in the avatars, they're just taking over other people's bodies, basically. So
Yeah,
they're
I just
probably
didn't
like
notice if
one's a
like
businessman, one's like a artist, one's a runner. I don't
so they were on all different things. Okay.
know. They're all over the place.
Osiris specifically is approaching in a suit. But yeah, he's upside down with the
But
figure.
he's kind of like the boss too, isn't he? Osiris is always like one of the bosses of the
Gotcha.
gods
He's
of
the Zeus
Egypt.
of Egypt, kind of
The
maybe.
Zeus of Egypt. The Odin of Asgard. No,
Oh
he's
yeah.
not that high.
Well, the
He's like
Odin of.
Loki almost. Maybe Loki.
Okay. so so he takes it does for whatever reason upside down to as a what do you call it? Some sort of metaphor or something. But he it does flip the camera back right ways, right way up, and
Yeah,
it shows him taking the figure and putting it on a shelf where there are many other figurines. You pointed out that there was 9 that we saw there. There could be more that the camera just didn't pan out to.
yeah. I only saw 9.
And they were all because I think he said something about 12 in New Rockstars, but I could be wrong about that number. Unless there's 12 total or something. No, that can't be right either. Um, each one of these had a candle lit beside it, though.
Kind of like a
Which
shrine.
right. And one of the things, it's like, yeah, it's he looked a little hesitant maybe as he's walking away after he places it because there's all these other ones there. Kind of questioning things, kind of questioning as what's the guy's name on that YouTube channel again? What's his name? on New Rockstars, do you remember? Uh,
Eric?
Eric. He pointed out like something I hadn't considered, which was, uh, could he be next? Which
Hmm.
very possible. So then we're taken to the desert, back to the desert where I put Kayla here. I meant Layla. Layla is trying to wake up Steven. We do see a scarab. You pointed out the scarab. I didn't notice it at first, but the scarab and sort
And
of
she's also called Little Scarab by her father, so
ah
Scarab's always like. It seems like Layla's around, Scarab's around.
scarab sort of in the
Or you see a
foreground
Scarab.
and flies away. And we see a vehicle with lights approach, and there's a bunch of we start hearing gunfire. So whoever this is trying to take him out. We see she's still trying to get him up. He ends up rolling down the hill. There in the I don't know if it's sand dunes or not. It's just the desert, I guess. But
Desert.
we do see a bed full of ammo in the back of this vehicle. A quick shot of that, and Layla runs to their vehicle, hides in there, then gets inside the vehicle, and we overhear a man speaking in Arabic. The uh, one who's got this gunner, literally kind of reminds me of the gunner in the back of like a Halo Warthog almost. Been playing
Yeah, I would
maybe too
say.
much of that lately, but and then
Not enough, you're saying.
a level 100, all right. But the later than sort of unexpectedly, and it's funny because that Eric and I both made a comment about how it was almost like a Jurassic Park style. Just hard to not see that as she lights the flare, Jeff Goldblum style there, and then this guy proceeds to miss like a stormtrooper. I mean, even
Yeah, I
even.
know.
Oh, speaking of which,
And then they, you know,
who's
yeah,
this guy?
I was surprised when,
Stop.
yeah, I was surprised when the, you know, when she threw the other flare into the truck and it started bullets flying around, but they happened to be okay. None of them, it was Steven and Layla were like, hey, okay. Everyone else died.
Right.
How does that happen? Bullets flying around, but
M-
hey,
Movie magic or show magic.
yeah, right.
But
Little Indiana Jones magic
so
there.
the first flare didn't really. I think it was a separate flare. Yeah, that's right. There was two flares
The
that she
second,
set off. I don't remember what happened with the first one, but the second
it was
one,
a diversion.
right.
She
So
laid in the sand, then she rolled around underneath the truck and then threw the second one into the truck.
threw it in the truck, set the ammo off, and I feel like I've heard that there's sort of some misconceptions on what would happen with that, but um, like I don't know if they actually become projectiles or not, or if they just explode, or if that's how it's supposed to work. I forget exactly, but
You could go try it and let us know. No
in this case, she remained unharmed regardless, even though she was in the quote unquote line of duty or line of
fire.
fire. I mean, line of duty. Um, and then it pans over to Steven, who's now up and walking around, and he's impressed, I think, by what she was able to pull off.
Yeah, I
Then,
would say, or surprised,
right.
or mortified. One of the three.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so then we're back to another area of the desert. This time it's that was still basically nighttime, I think, and then this next area is back to being midday or during the day. I don't know, morning or whenever it is, but it's daylight, and we see a vehicle traveling to. I guess it's their vehicle is traveling to Amit's tomb at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Layla thinks they need Mark for this. Mark agrees, like he always does. Um, and Stephen and Mark, of course, are arguing back and forth about whether or not Mark should take over again. Um, Stephen's not having it. I don't think he didn't like being in the the other state or whatever, obviously. And then we see Layla stop the vehicle abruptly at we're calling it like a crevice it's like a, um, you said corridor too. I don't know what else you call it, but it did turn out to be, I guess,
Hallway
the
made
same.
out of stone.
I guess it was also in Last Crusade, or Last Crusade, right? Same formation in the rocks there. So they walk
Mm-hmm.
through there. We see a goat up above, which apparently was in. I mean, there was a goat that they had that Arthur Harrow had in their little community, which maybe have had some reference there to signify Harrow may be around, possibly. And so then they get to the tomb and they notice, that Harrow's crew is already inside. Um, Steven says hello to a camel. Like, hello.
He likes the animals. He likes the cocked animals.
Yeah. They proceed to check for supplies, and we see Steven going and scrounging about in a tent, uh, looking for what he can in there. And they continue to argue. I should say Mark and Steven, continue to argue. And in this case, it's about Layla and Mark. Mark's basically at this point like, don't you touch her, like. And very quickly that escalates because um, oh, we do see, well, as we'll see in a minute, but we do see Layla outside, and somewhere near her, there's some kind of object on the ground. Did you recognize what that was? It, the camera
I'm
focused on
trying
it.
to.
It kind of looked like, in hindsight, maybe almost like Arthur's cane or something, but I wasn't really sure because I didn't even mention that on New Rockstars. But
Yeah,
um,
I remember that.
yeah, the camera focused on something I thought there, but
Hmm.
not sure what that was.
I
Yeah,
must have
but
missed that.
so Layla and Steven immediately get close. Like she's like first she's ready to kiss him. Like then he kind of stops it and makes a comment about how Mark's just trying to protect her in sort of an unexpected sort of events. And then Steven talks about, did he say honesty or honestly? I forget. He screws up his words a
It
little bit
sounded.
there, but
Yeah.
but Layla makes a comment about basically how, yeah, Steven is the um, honesty or honestly or whatever she says is more of a Steven thing compared to Mark, that is. And he does end up, I didn't even put it here, but Steven does end up going in for the kiss after all
It's
that,
a
awkwardly.
big mistake for him. Yeah. Yeah. Who
uh,
puts their hands on a girl's shoulders like that? Weird. It
Clearly,
was me.
he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he does make a comment. Layla couldn't tell if he was joking about not knowing what belaying is as they're about to descend down into the tomb. But as soon as she goes down, we this is the first time we've really seen Mark be able to sort of take over the body without like being let in. Because he proceeds to punch him, punch himself. Um,
I thought that was hilarious.
that was good.
Heard this little like chime in, and he's just punched himself. Kind of. It definitely reminded me of Fight Club.
Right, right, for sure. And then we see Layla at the bottom of, which I'm just putting together. Like I don't know that name a lot, but I didn't even consider Futurama. That's Layla, maybe spelled different, but also another Layla. Um,
Yeah, all owned
but
by Disney anyway, so whatever.
oh my gosh, that's right, everything. Um, oh yeah, and then we see Layla at the bottom, and then presumably Mark also pushed him down to the bottom, which is what he said he was going to do. He made some comment when they were arguing back in the tent about pushing him off a cliff or something, or pushing him. Um, so he kind of ended up doing that, and anyway, but so then down in the tomb, Stephen immediately gets very excited about what he's seeing. As anything archaeological, he gets super into it. He knows he can understand and read all these hieroglyphics and everything. And then there was a comment. I didn't even catch the funny remark after that, but do you happen to remember what he said? He said something about shitting himself, but um,
If that statue could talk and
mm-hmm.
move, it'd be great. But he'd also shit himself.
Right.
But yeah, I would too. That thing's big.
mm-hmm. As
Whatever it
they're
was, I don't know if it was like a sphinx or something.
yeah. So as they're venturing in through the tomb, Layla starts talking about her father dying, which I guess um, Stephen acts like he wasn't aware. I guess he hadn't been told this at this point, so he acts surprised and shows his condolences. Um, it's around this point where we start hearing this weird clicking, which so I didn't put it together at the time, but what does that remind you of anything by chance? Because
No.
so that surprises me a little bit because there's a an enemy in Clone Wars that kind of does the same thing. That's sort of clicking with his mouth. He's one of the like
Oh,
bug.
those one of those tarantula looking things. Is
Right,
that
right.
what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's
I
one
didn't think of it that way. No.
very similar sort of. Oh god, that sounds gross. Sorry, but it was like
Really did.
there. That's better. Clicking with. Although we might, there's a there's another part up here that has even grosser sounds in the show, but they get to a point
Oh yeah.
where Layla makes a comment about how it's a maze. They get, they progress a little further and make a comment about how it's a maze, and Steven's like, it's amazing. And she's like, no,
Oh yeah. Yeah. He does say
there's
that.
6 paths to this maze, uh, and bullet casings on the ground, which, for whatever reason, that seems a little odd if it's just Harrow's crew down here, but they get
Someone need protection.
I think it's at the same point of where Layla notices it's a maze that there's a table that Steven I guess I was a little confused. So I guess on this table it's just covered in dust, but he's able to make out the pattern because he
Yeah.
draws the pattern of the Eye of Horus, which then gets reflected on the ceiling, almost as a show the Eye of Horus is like looking down or something. But this was final. They make a comment about how the final avatar was a pharaoh. Are they referring to Amit or are they referring to Horus?
To the no, they're referring to what Stephen finds in the next room, the tomb room.
Sure,
Tomb.
sure, but yeah, who the avatar is, we don't know at this point. But the avatar is it supposed to be the avatar um
Amit.
of Amit? Yeah. So like, when they get into the next room, we see these, I guess, high priests up above painted on this mural, and along with that, there's another table of sorts with fresh blood and meaty bits, as he puts it, on it.
I like that's a new one. Meaty bits. I'm gonna use that from now on. Look at
And
those meaty bits.
yeah, and then we see some jars below, some with, some without blood, sort of overflowing in
Yeah,
them.
Marvel's definitely pushing how far they can go with starting to get pushing horror and gore a little bit.
Yeah. Oh,
Interesting to
how
see.
dare you? Disney's for kids. What? How? Of course. What? hey,
Yeah. I
hey,
wonder.
P Dubs, what's up? How are you?
Oh,
Um,
dude.
and then so Steven's very squeamish at this initially. He's not a big fan, and then we see some bones and blood. He points out that they're going this one direction, and maybe they should go a different direction. And so he sees an opening maybe up above. So Layla's like, "All right, go ahead." Like, so Steven ends up climbing up there, and then he sees I think they say it was like torture devices up there or something like that. Um,
I don't know if there's torture devices up there. I know I saw all of the ingredients and equipment for mummifying someone. So,
gotcha. Some of which is snake skins, and I was a little
oh yeah, you
confused.
can. They're healing, trying to heal with snakeskin.
But one
That's
of the
new.
things looked like it was an arm like comprised of snakeskin or something.
That's what I thought. Like, are they trying to make a snake person?
I don't know. It's interesting. But we do hear some shooting then. and then more of this clicking, more of the sort of sound. And I'm not doing it justice. Just watch. If you haven't, you should watch the show. Of course, you've watched the show. Why else would you be here? Um,
I hope so.
but then we see some sort of creature next, and I'm trying to remember if it was walking sort of bipedally right away, or if it was. I thought it like kind of crawled in or something, but I could be wrong about that.
I don't think it crawled in because it was bringing someone in with them.
Yeah, it may have just been sort of hunched over because it had this person and throws it up on that table, a man of sorts, and just proceeds to stick a knife in him and starts removing his organs. This really got dark fast. Um,
Also known as disemboweling them properly, basically.
right. And starts putting those in those jars. And that's where we start hearing those gooey, nasty sounds from that. um,
That
late,
was pretty graphic
well,
sounding wise.
without specifically showing it, yeah, they can
Right.
accomplish a
They
lot
had
just with
it like
sound.
it was blur. It was like really blurred. Like you could see the background, but it was like blurry out. So it's like, oh, okay, I get how you're gonna make this kind of scary horror gore. You just make it sound like it, while you can just go and like have a like a not a close up, but like a wide shot and have that part actually covered.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Exactly.
on good way to trying it. I don't know how they manage that with Punisher, because Punisher's on supposed to be on Disney Plus, and that show is wow, a lot of blood.
Yeah, they finally started doing ratings on there, so uh, yeah,
I
this is
figured they're
another
gonna have to.
step in that direction, I guess. But so as this is happening, Layla is crouched down in front of the table. Um, whatever this thing is can't hear her initially until she knocks over one of the jars. Then it gets suspicious, kind of looking around, making those clicking sounds. Uh, and then Steven, I think, really makes this out. I think he just gasps or something that alerts it, and it jumps up on the table. Uh, then flies upward into the rafters or whatever it is there, and we see it trying to climb through the floorboards up where Steven is. And Layla's response to this, to try to thwart it, is to throw one of the jars, throws it against the wall, which then also distracts it, and Steven knocks over uh, a big wooden structure. I don't know if it was like a shelving unit or something.
It's probably like a shelf on the second part floor of that area.
Right. And as he put it, he squishes it.
Squished him.
Squished it. uh, and meanwhile, Layla runs off and comes to a dead end, which is just a big hole. And she takes one of her flares that she still has and chucks it to the other side. And yeah, she clearly doesn't want to go down in this hole, so she starts riding along the edge of the hole. Conveniently, there's a little pathway along the edge that she has to make a couple of jumps across, where it's not a perfect path there.
Questionable jumps.
Yep. But we're still hearing the clicking, of course. That's not over. We see that creature through the cracks as she's walking along, and then I thought, I could have been wrong here, but I could have sworn at that point that there were some other creatures that were shown below. But unless it was,
I didn't see any.
there was something down there, I swear. But it was the
I
Rancor.
swear it, there was something down there.
Then we see the creature's hand reach through, which almost grabs her initially, comes real close, and then actually does at the next crevice or a slightly bigger opening is able to actually grab her. She kind of fades into the darkness, and then for whatever reason pushes
Got
her.
the jump scare.
We did get the jump scare there. For some reason, throws her back at the camera, and she manages to yank off the hand of this thing, and they sort of struggle for a while. We've got this open, presumably sharp bone that's nearing her face,
Yeah.
hanging
Nope.
off of the arm of this thing, um, which then she. It's because flares are her her go to, and this is I think the fourth flare we've seen at this point. Uh,
She likes flares.
she does like flares. Sticks it in the eye of this thing, and they both wind up falling off into this dark hole. But thankfully, so then it's leaves it open as to what happens next here, and then shortly after that, she's seen climbing up out of the hole. You know, as movies
You're
should
not
us
gonna kill
to
the hero outright like
do.
that.
Right. Um, foreshadowing. She catches her breath for a while there, and then goes on to scream, as one might do after all of that. Then, of course, Harrow is seen on the other side of this hole, emerging from the darkness, and um, then we pan back to Stephen, who's all excited about everything he's seeing, everything he's reading and deciphering. Um, and then Mark shows up in another reflection and confronts her about kissing her. He's not happy about that, but he also shows that he didn't expect that he would bring up the part about pushing her away from in terms of protecting her.
Mm. He was like
Then,
ashamed of it.
right. So then we get a tomb, or not a tomb. I thought he said tomb. I thought he said long lost tomb, but it's a sarcophagus. Because
Mm.
they're already in a tomb. That's why I get confused about what's what here.
Well,
But
like he was in like a really nice like tomb. Like the throne, like the burial room was really like fancy. So he's like, that's why he said this has got to be one of the big ones.
yep, and he's reading the hieroglyphics and says it must be the long lost tomb of Alexander the Great, which that was interesting.
It's great.
It's great. So then we pan back to Layla and Arthur, who are talking across this chasm, if that's a word I can use.
Yeah.
And he starts talking as she's like, she makes a comment about um, how all men basically talk condescendingly, and so she's walking away from him, and he starts bringing up her father and how he was one of the believers of that the gods walk among us. Um, so there's apparently some history there. I don't know. Do we had we been led to believe that Arthur knew her father prior to this? Do you recall?
I don't know. Maybe it seems like he does in some way,
Yeah.
but he hasn't. I haven't really seen the backstory on that yet.
Yep.
Maybe coming
Mm-hmm.
soon to
Coming
Disney Plus
soon.
near you.
Exactly. So this is kind of a lot of back and forth between Stephen and Layla, but Stephen then proceeds to push open the tomb of Alexander. Um,
Sarcophagus.
so yes, And Mark points out that the Ushabti isn't there like they are hoping for immediately. But Stephen is quick to point out that Alexander was the voice of of uh, of Amit.
Amit.
So he starts tearing off the mummified bandage around the jaw area, and then rips the jaw off, and just it's funny how he's so squeamish, but he has no problem like he's a little hesitant, but he kind of doesn't really have an issue just jamming his arm into the throat
I
of.
mean, be honest, it's a mummy. It can't be. There can't be much moisture left in the down in there. Maybe
You
a little
think?
bit, but not too much.
True. Plus, he gets all excited about this kind of stuff, so maybe he doesn't.
Maybe he just forgot what he was putting his hand down.
He reaches right in there, right into Alexander the Great's throat, and
As one does. As one does.
right, and Mark's in the back like, yeah, get in there, and then we see Arthur again talking with Layla and suggesting that Mark was one of the mercenaries that had murdered her father, which is like, geez. Also makes a comment about, or Arthur also makes a comment about how a man with a fuchsia scarf um, stood out, and then I guess that the scarf was handmade by her daughter, presumably Layla.
His his daughter, you mean? Not her daughter.
Yeah, his daughter. Yeah, that Layla had made the scarf for her father, I guess. But it's kind of a weird scene after that because we have Layla who's at this point kind of walking away. She's like she doesn't want to have it, or she wants to confront Mark about this. But he makes a comment about how he hopes she finds closure, but then proceeds with yelling, "Wake up!" which was kind of
Mm-hmm.
uncharacteristic of Arthur at this point. I'm trying to think of what's his last name again? Harrow.
Harrow.
Yeah,
Yep, it's Harrow.
because up until this point, he's been very calm and collected. I mean, maybe he's just trying to like project his voice at this point, since they're not obviously close to one another,
Mm,
proximity wise. But Stephen
could be.
does
I mean, it's a cave.
right. Stephen does end up pulling the Ushabti out of the throat um, of Alexander the Great, and Layla starts slowly walking in the room, um, eyeing him down, and clearly she's got questions. But even though Steven's all excited, we got it, look. Then
He doesn't know. He has no idea.
right, yeah, Steven doesn't know. So she's pissed, clearly. Wants to talk to Mark, or wants to talk with Mark, and Mark I think I'm trying to remember if it was just sort of like her pitch and her uh persistence of talking to Mark that does end up bringing Mark to the
Oh
body
yeah,
again.
something like that. Something like I think Steven got scared.
Yeah, he's all scared and
He's
uh
like, "Oh God, you take care of this now."
yeah, or Mark was just so like had the will to take over or something at this point, but uh
That could
he
be too.
felt he needed to respond, to which he does. He claims he didn't kill him, but he was actually there when he was murdered, when her father was murdered. Talks about how his partner got greedy and ended up executing everyone at the dig site, which is not cool, man, not cool. But also she's got all these emotions going through her head, such as the whole reason they met was because of this, that turn of events. Oh hey Herschel, what's going on? And then we hear more clicking again. This dumb, uh, or at least yeah, exactly. At least we think it's clicking initially, but I think it's just gunfire maybe at this point.
I thought
Um,
it was Harold's guys coming in, starting to come into
right.
the tomb room or the sarcophagus room, whatever it's called.
Yep. They do. They show up um, with guns. I think, right?
Hmm.
They are armed men.
Yeah. There are guns. There's lots of guns.
Guns, lots of guns. So then
Lots of guns.
Harrow, Harrow's walking in. We hear the glass again, as Mike points out every time, and I never notice it until after he says it. But
Every time he's walking, he's got that glass in his shoes. I don't know how you're not in agony, but
yeah,
oh, that
it's
sounds
what
horrible.
keeps him calm, I guess. But
Mm.
Harrow's talking about
That
how he's a
floats your boat.
right. Harrow's talking to him about how he's a free man now, and how he has an important decision to make. Then Mark proceeds to start kicking some ass. I think he takes an axe from someone. He hits quite a few people, but it only works temporarily because Arrow then shoots the guy square in the chest,
Not once, but twice.
but twice. And then he slowly falls back into the water behind him, which then, interestingly enough, he's initially in mostly shallow water because his face is still sticking up, but then we see him start sinking into a much bigger
I think that was like his brain doing
something because things are about to
that. I
get
don't.
weird. We see him slowly sinking in much more water with some bright yellow light above him. Keeps sinking into sort of a circular light, fading away, and then somehow fades into the most unexpected thing you would ever imagine in this show, into a old timey looking like VHS style 4x3 format sort of Indiana Jones parody movie of some kind.
Yeah, it was really weird. I was very confused for a while what we were watching. I was like, is this a prank of some sort? It's like April Fools, like
I,
all over again.
I actually thought for a second, like, did Disney like accidentally splice in the wrong show or movie?
Oops.
But it does pan out from this still 4x3 format onto a widescreen television into a mostly white room of some sort, which you can tell right off the bat is meant to be some sort of asylum. And
Or could it like, yeah, yeah, could have been, or like they said, they could have been like the underworld of some sort, just messing with him.
I mean, yeah, we have no clue at this point what's going on. And it is mentioned in this because there's a boy and there's an older sort of Indiana Jones character in whatever this movie is on the TV, and it's made mention that the lead is named Stephen Grant, which kind of actually the character actually looked a bit like Harrow in
Mm,
that incidentally.
he
But
did, yeah.
as the camera's backing out, we're hearing bingo numbers being called off by the gold man that Steven had previously chatted with a couple of times.
Twice, yeah. Yep.
And he's calling bingo numbers, which some of them aren't even real bingo numbers, first of all, which is interesting. But along with that, we're seeing all these other people he's run into throughout the the previous episodes, all sorts of them, like everywhere.
Yep.
And one of them is, do you remember any of them offhand? Like some of them were some of those like fake police. Um,
Two of them, the orderlies are the police. Then there his boss from the museum was in there. The lady that made the passport for Layla was in there. Guy with the gold was in there.
the
I think.
his boss at the, did you say that already? His boss at the
Yep.
um
Yep. Boss.
security guard, yeah, like everyone. Um,
Yeah.
I like AP Dove's comment. A second Jurassic Park reference, Dr. Grant, like the JP one. Yeah, exactly. I also we had another
Dr. Grant.
Jurassic Park reference with the flare earlier, but merge them. Yeah, exactly. Um, sure, why not? But so one of the things, one of the people in this room is drawing a bird, a hummingbird, I guess, with the head of Khonshu,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, that's right.
then so then we go over to uh, was it at this point? I guess it's Mark at this point, in a wheelchair, and Layla shows up in this whatever it may be, and she talks about how she changed the movie, I guess, and points out that the bingo card he's holding, she says, "You won." Then that changes to "We won." Then that changes to "I won." to Yeah, tells the guy I won. Although it's weird. So nothing makes sense about any of this because not only are the numbers that the guy's calling off are weird numbers, but also that the bingo card he had, the thing like he didn't even have five in a row on the bingo card.
No, not at all. There's not a connection at all, unless they're playing some weird design game or something.
Right. And nothing's really adding up here, but Mark's looking across into a mirror and he's calling for Steven and then winds up falling out of the wheelchair onto his face for the third time at the same and the same side of his face and everything. So that's just like
Kinda
repetition
hurt.
there. Keeps going back to that. But he notices there's a Moon Knight figure on the floor, a sort of an action figure, more like a almost more like a little doll kind of a thing because it's like cloth
Yeah.
based. It seems like almost like a little voodoo doll or something. I don't know, but
Well, Moon Knight Voodoo Doll.
um, and then of course we start hearing Harrow's voice, and you know right away he's going to be the whatever you call it, superintendent or the psychiatrist here of some kind.
Yeah, he's the main psycho of the psych ward.
Exactly. And his for like we know it's him, but it keeps like blurring, keeping him blurred, and then eventually he comes back into perspective. I think that's to show that Mark is on something at this point. Like they put him on something.
Sedated him, yeah.
One of the things he points out his favorite movie. Apparently, Mark's, I think he says favorite movie is this Tomb Buster movie, which is the one that was playing earlier, and it shows the literal VHS copy of it on his table. He does point out that Mark's been sedated, so that's he's super loopy here. Um, doesn't really can't really make heads or tails of anything, but he keeps recognizing things. He keeps recognizing things that we've seen in the previous episodes. How
Hmm.
everything reminds him of something, and we see Harrow's cane or a cane leaning up against his desk. And by the way, once Harrow is actually revealed, he's got like slicked back hair and glasses and looks very different than the previous forms we've seen him.
Yeah, he doesn't have long hair either. It's short.
Gotcha.
Shorter. I should say.
So we also see him. Mark looks in the mirror and sees he is wearing slippers also. Um, but as we're about to find out, maybe probably not with glass. Maybe this time. um,
Which is leads me to believe this is not this is in his head, not this is not real world somehow.
yeah, nothing about this world seems super realistic at this
Because we were
point.
introduced to Harrow with the glass, so that's what I think you're led to believe. Every time you hear that, that should be the real Harrow. That's how I think. I didn't
Right.
hear it in this one, so I'm thinking that's not the real Harrow. That's a projection in his head.
That's a phony. That's a
It's not real.
that's not the real Harrow. Um, yeah, but so his cane also it has like a white, almost marble looking top to it. Very fancier than the I guess this other one is just wooden, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, but which is much cruder as well. And he does make mention Harrow. I think first mentioned Stephen, or I think I think it seems like Mark's about to mention, and then Harrow jumps in with about Stephen, like it's I don't know if he's suggesting it's another personality of his or they don't go too far into it, but he does point out that it was some someone in his head or in his past or that really kind of brought him to this place. But
Hmm.
there's also we also do see a painting on the wall that is of that scene in the Alps that we saw in
In the
the
first episode,
first episode, right? Which is also where we first meet Harrow as well.
there's
Um,
a lot of things in there that remind of all the episodes. There's Egyptian things. There's
mm-hmm. All sorts of
those
relics in there.
jars.
He's got
Yeah.
like a pyramid on his desk. He's got, and as again, New Rockstars points out that there's a bunch of sharp things on the desk that wouldn't actually be in a, I guess I should say, institution such as this. But
Yeah. 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 Especially if you have a patient by you, that wouldn't happen.
yep. But Mark starts crawling away. He falls out of his chair, starts crawling away because he can't really stand. He's so sedated. But eventually, kind of gets to his feet and awkwardly gets to the door and um, he breaks the glass. It's funny because right after Mike made mention of the Arthur not having glass in his
Glasses.
sandals, he immediately breaks the glass of this door. The
Yeah, that
orderly,
was funny.
the orderlies. I know I couldn't think of this term before. They come in, which are I think both those faux police from earlier, and
Hmm.
and Mark then punches one of them or elbows one of them or whatever he did, and then bites the hand of the other one to
Yep.
get away.
Then he runs out, runs down the hallway, then runs down another hallway that starts, I guess, turning.
Yeah, it does seem like the room starts spinning and the lights in that hallway start swaying and
I That was a little weird to me. I was like, I don't understand this part. Why?
right.
Of course, I didn't understand the end part either. So that's
I yeah, and also I didn't notice that I guess the carts were also moving on their own in that scene as well.
hmm,
But we then Mark winds up in a room.
hiding.
He hears, yeah, he's hiding, and but we also that room. He also sees a sort this. I think probably that Alexander sarcophagus. It probably looked,
Yeah, it was a sarcophagus that looked like that.
and
Kinda.
we hear banging on it, and we hear "Let me out." Um, he says "Let me out," but I think he was able to get out himself, which was Steven climbs out of
Yep.
this thing, and they just start hugging each other. um,
And they're trying to figure out who's like, wait, you're here. How are we both here? And
It's like
like,
the Spider-Man
who's
scene where they're
driving?
pointing at each other. Kind of. This is the first time we've been able to see the two together independently of one another.
Yeah.
So then
Still,
they continue trying to escape, and as they're running down the halls, we see there's an open room that has another tomb that's banging, which I guess they just kind of ignore, even though I think we both were immediately like, well, is this another
it's
personality?
another personality. It's the bad one.
But we don't. They just don't explain. They don't bother with that one because I guess partially because there's no
I
one
think
saying
I'll probably see it soon. For next two
yes.
episodes.
I think that's probably a
They're not
safe bet.
gonna. They're not gonna let you cliffhanger that one and be like, "Oh, sorry, just kidding, guys, just kidding."
Right? Yeah, that would just be a red herring or whatever of sorts.
That would
Yeah,
be
I
a
doubt it.
that would be a big nut punch.
For
That's what it'd be.
sure. Um, but in this, so in the case of that sarcophagus, no one is yelling "Let me out," which I don't know if they would have stopped to help them or not if they had heard that. But this one's just kind of rocking itself. Um, but they just keep going. And then they get to the end to these double doors. And boy, if it was weird enough to wind up in this weird scenario, things just got weirder. Because the double doors open and it's a hippo god.
It's a hippo. Yeah,
It's a hippo
hippo
in
god.
an Egyptian garb. Shows up and just silent for a few seconds, and we get a female voice, presumably female voice from this hippo, and then just a slight wave and a hi.
And that was it.
Oh, it was almost it, but we of course got some screaming from
Oh
both
yeah,
Mark and Steven, but presumably Steven has
that
the
was
higher
pretty
pitched
good.
scream in this particular
That
scene.
that was funny.
And as we learned again from Eric of the New Rockstars, that I guess that's Taweret. I'm gonna guess that's how that's pronounced.
Tauret,
Taweret,
the Egyptian. What's she do? She's like
a
helps with
birthing god or something. I think it was.
birthing god. Yeah, weird. Weird they run into that one.
Yeah, that was fascinating. Quite the episode. Very took some turns for sure. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
What is AP Dubs talking about here? Since Hercules and the Greek gods are also real in Marvel, think we could see a Kevin Sorbo's Hercules get merged in? I mean, you never know with all this multiverse stuff. That would be pretty
That'd be
hilarious.
funny. That would be hilarious. Yeah, get Xena in there
and
too.
Xena
Let's
while
go.
we're at it. Yeah, exactly. Um, and yeah, sure, why not merge T Rexes and Doctor Hulk? Absolutely, Herschel. Do
Mm-hmm.
fighting Hulk, Doctor Malcolm. Okay, well, without further ado, 4.5 out of 5, I think, for this one. I had a 4.4 on that. I went a little lower on this one because it was,
Wow.
yeah, it was a different one. Mike had a 4.6, so it just happens to work out pretty well. I mean, I was swaying back and forth like before with 4.5 or even 4.2, and I'm like, it seems about right. Still really good. Just I don't know, some weird moments. Maybe it took some different turns. Maybe not quite as funny as some of the previous ones. Um,
Yeah.
but still good. I mean, obviously, all of these are still we got 4.4, 4.6, 4.7, 4.5. So like all still really solid. I'm kind of surprised in hindsight the first one we gave the lowest. But ratings are hard.
Yeah. Well, the third one was still probably the best,
Yeah, I
in my
probably agree.
opinion.
I mean, the numbers show it can't. It's the data. The data doesn't lie. Well,
Mm-hmm.
hey, thanks everyone for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
If you want to write into us, also thanks AP Dubs and Herschel for hanging out here. Did I miss anyone? I think those are the
Yeah. Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Thank you. Thanks everyone else for listening. If you want to write into us, our email address is disnerdsplus@gmail.com. That's DISNERDSPLUS. I'm spelling it all out today at gmail.com. And that same disnerdsplus.com is the website to go to. We so far have been recording Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central at twitch.tv/ShaveMaddox, which if you're live, that's where we're at. Schedule is going to be a little bit different for the last two episodes, unfortunately. Mike and I both have things going on the next two Wednesdays, so we'll see. It might be next Saturday.
Yep.
Might be
Well,
might be shooting for Saturday during the day or something, but
it'll be a surprise.
it'll be a surprise, exactly. So you can find me all over social media at ShaveMadOx. You can find Mike at Cool as a Cucumber. And I think that'll be about it for now. Thanks again, everyone. Everyone have a great night, day, whatever it might be as you're listening to this. And we'll see you next time.
Later.
Okay. We did it.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah.
Oh, are we rating? Oh, AP Does is mentioning the rating. I wonder if I'm going to go watch the episode. Thanks, AP Dubs. Yeah, maybe we can try to, if I can remember to raid this time. Yeah, I think I see someone who might try to raid. Possibly. I don't want to interrupt, but let's take a look here.
Were you rating?
Oh, I think I'm going to raid one of my former contestants in America's Next Top Podcaster. I thought it was killing the stream too. Not just yet. Disney Plus
I'm gonna
spoils this
disconnect.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, dude.
Later, guys.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Have a good night. Catch you later.
You too. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Here I am in mirror mode. All right, we'll see you guys soon. Eventually. Sea of Thieves stream? I don't know. I got some things to do. But thanks again. I'll let you know if I wind back up on. Have a good one. Bye.